Hi and welcome back. It's time for another Is It Worth It to Rent Out Your RV video. If you're new, basically we own two bunkhouse travel trailers and we rent them out through RV Share and Outdoorsy. And I have a monthly series where I talk about what new things we're doing, some problems that we've been having, and I even share with you how much money we're making in the process. I want to add a new thing to this video series, a Q&A section. I want to start addressing in these videos some of the questions people leave in the comments. And a couple of questions that we get from time to time are, what are some of the maintenance issues that you guys deal with? And what are some things that break and that you have to fix along the way? As far as maintenance issues, there are some yearly things that we do, just like you would if you weren't renting out your RV. We have it, the dealer take a look at the bearings and do a brake inspection. We bleach out the fresh water tank and things like that. But there's also things I like to do on a monthly basis during the rental season. Things like I like to check the water level in the batteries, make sure they're not getting dried out. And if it is low, you want to use distilled water. And I got this nifty little device that you can use that'll make sure it's topped off at just the right level. I also like to, clean out, check the air conditioning filters so they don't get clogged and create a problem while it's out on the road. And I also like to hit the slide out seals too, make sure those are in good condition. So those are kind of some of the monthly things that we do. As far as things that we have to fix along the way, and I try to bring that up in each video. It seems like every month there are things that happen. These are RVs, and these problems will get accelerated obviously with rental use. So this month we had a deal where our renter came back with our Mallard, and I noticed that the tire on the passenger side had some really bad wear on kind of the outer edge. And it actually happened pretty quick because I'm very diligent about checking the tires before and after each rental. And this wear definitely happened during this rental. And I'm not blaming the renter at all. These tires, they're not top of the line Goodyear tires, and they did have over 17,000 miles on them. And maybe it's just time where that wear was going to start happening fast. So anyways, I was looking into it a little bit, and as I was checking everything out, I noticed that I gave the wheel and tire a good shake, and it was actually kind of loose. There's much more play than there should have been. I only had 24 hours to look into this before our next rental went out. So I actually ended up taking the wheel and tire off, and I actually took the whole hub assembly apart. It's the first time I've done this. I hit YouTube and kind of figured out how things were working. And while I was in there, there's a back and a front bearing. Hopefully I'm using that terminology right. I'm not an RV mechanic. But I actually took the front bearing out and looked it over, and it didn't appear like there was any damage. There was no discoloration, and while I had it out, I repacked it with grease. I didn't take the back one out because if you do, you have to take a grease seal out, and I didn't have any grease seals, and there wasn't a store open where I could go get one, so I just kind of had to work with what I had. I repacked that front bearing. I put it all back together and tightened everything up. And these actually have the I forget what it's called, but it's an easy fitting, so you can actually introduce new grease into the system and force the old stuff out without having to take that back bearing out. So I did that, and after I got everything put back together, that extra play that was there before was gone. So didn't look like there was any bearing damage or anything. I think things just worked themselves loose a little bit, and I'm guessing that added to that extra wear of the tire. There may have been other factors too, but regardless, it fixed the problem, and I was able to go to Discount Tire, and they quickly got me two brand new tires, and I did get Goodyear Endurance. With renting and as much use as this camper gets, might as well go get top of the line tires. So the renters and us have good peace of mind while it's out there, and hopefully the tires last a long time too. So that's an issue I had. I want to bring up something that my friend had to deal with, and this was kind of a big one, and I feel really bad. I had this friend who started renting out this year for the first time. They went out and bought a brand new Keystone Bullet. It's a beautiful camper, and in my opinion, that's a quality brand. and it was only out on the third rental, and the renter sent them a picture. It has a slide out, and it's a cable driven slide, and as they were moving that slide, the bracket where the cable attaches broke right off the slide out, and they were kind of stuck with the slide just halfway out. So what do you do? What do you do when something breaks in the middle of a rental? And we were having some back and forth conversations on what to do. Basically, what they had to do was the renter used the roadside assistance that comes with the rental to have somebody come out at the end of this happened at the beginning of the rental, but they were able to use the RV with the slide out in the position it was in. At the end of the rental, they were able to send somebody out to manually push that slide out back into place so they could, get on the road and bring the camper back. But now he's in a situation where, he's got a significant repair going on. And at first we thought about maybe just patching it up temporarily until the dealership and the factory could get this problem fixed, because according to them over the phone, they're going to have to replace a whole wall on that slide out to fix this problem. But if we could get that mounting plate put back into place, maybe put a patch on there or something and get it working, that was the plan. But he noticed that one of the cables actually was damaged too when this happened. So kind of in a jam. Long story short, he had to cancel a week-long booking that was coming up right after this last one, and that was kind of a big hit to take. And it's summer. Getting your RV into a dealer in the middle of summer is hard any year, let alone this year with the demand that is so high with RVs. He was able to get an appointment at a dealer, but it was, I think, over 3 weeks out. So kind of in a scramble then to see if we could get the parts to fix it himself. Getting RV parts is so hard right now. We had a fridge handle break in May on our Grand Design. It's the end of July. We're still waiting on this part, and I've been hearing that's the case for a lot of different RV stuff. Bottom line, my friend was able to find a repair kit, a cable repair kit on Amazon. It's coming in like a week, hoping he can get this fixed. If not, there could be 2 or 3 rentals that he's going to have to cancel before the appointment happens to get this fixed. And just stinks, it shouldn't happen. It was no fault of the owner, it was no fault of the renter, and this was a brand new RV. This shouldn't happen, but these things do. The RVs break, and it's just unfortunate that the timing of it. So those are some of the things that come up and that you have to fix. And there's other things too. There's troubleshooting that happens. 5 minutes before I started sitting down to do this video, we got a call from one of our renters. Our Grand Design is out right now on the road, and basically they called and said that, hey, the freezer's working, but the fridge isn't working. What do we do? So, we have to start troubleshooting this ourselves. We've never had that issue. So, we go online and we start researching what to do. We had him do some basic things first, make sure the RV is level. There's a slider on the fins inside of the fridge. Sometimes that can get knocked off or get out of place. Move that up to the top position. Make sure that we got a good propane connection, that kind of thing. And we're literally in the middle of troubleshooting this. My wife's texting him back and forth as I'm doing this video. But there's always things that come up, and you just have to mentally prepare yourself that there's going to be issues you got to solve. All right, so those are some of the things that we've dealt with this month. Gear, what gear do we buy? Because I love my RV gadgets. A couple different things. I bought one of my biggest fears is a renter having clogged up the sewer system. And I've heard that it can be a major mess and pain to unclog if you don't have the right equipment. So for each camper, I bought a reverse flush system. It's basically this cap that you put on the end of the sewer outlet, and then you can put a hose in the end to do kind of like a reverse flush. I got one of those for each camper in case of an emergency. I also bought, along the same lines, a twist-on waste valve. Basically, this goes on the end of your sewer outlet as well. It's just an extra valve because sometimes in between that cap and the actual valves for the black or gray tank, sometimes you end up with some slop in there and you get a nasty surprise when you take that cap off. And I've had that happen a couple times. It's gross. To eliminate that, I bought this twist-on waste valve, and that should solve that problem. And then I also bought just a little mesh cargo netting thing to put in each camper to hold our guest book. I have a guest book for each camper for a couple different reasons. It's fun to kind of log your own journeys, but it's also fun to see what your renter has been up to. You know, they'll fill it out and talk about where they went and things that they did and maybe things that they liked about the RV. But I also use it as a way to track the miles in each camper. I'll put the round trip miles for each trip in there and then keep a running tally at the bottom. So they're kind of my odometer for each camper. So that's some of the gear that we bought. I want to talk about some things that we're thinking about for the future. Number one, I mentioned this before in the past. Number one, RV Share and Outdoorsy, they're a great place to get started in this business. And overall, we've been fairly happy with them. But now that we're starting to get a lot of business and we're actually turning people away and we're getting repeat customers, I'm kind of wondering if maybe there's a better way to do this, branching more out on our own. We have a quote in for commercial insurance. And if I get my LLC lined up, we're putting some serious thought into branching out on our own. It's just getting harder and harder to see our renters paying so much money and us getting sometimes only half of it, you know. Technically, our commission is 25% through RV Share, and Outdoorsy it's been between 20 and 25%. But man, they tack on a lot of extra stuff to those renters, and it's just hard for us to take in $500 in rental, but then to see our renters are paying over $1,000 for that. I just wonder if there is a better way. Another thing we're looking at, Good Sam just came out with RV rentals, and they only charge 15%. So another thought is, perhaps next year we drop either RV Share or Outdoorsy and give them a shot. And right now, I'm sorry, Outdoorsy, but you might be on the chopping block. My wife does all the booking and the arrangements, and she tends to like the RV Share system a lot better than Outdoorsy. There's just less paperwork, and it's a smoother process for her. So some things we're thinking about. Another thing we're thinking about, our Mallard is now paid off, and we're thinking about perhaps maybe selling it and buying a little couples camper. Like a couples camper would be something that instead of bunks, maybe you would have like a little, some recliners or a sofa in there. And we've noticed that we've had a lot of couples renting our bunkhouse campers this year, and I think there's a market for it. And with our kids getting older, my wife and I do a lot of solo trips ourselves, and it would be kind of nice to have an RV that was dedicated more for couple use. We're also flirting with the idea of getting a motorhome. Man, I just get a lot of people asking for one through my website, and I'm on Google Maps. I get a lot of inquiries there, and I don't know. We're flirting with the idea of getting a Class C or a Class B, a used one, and seeing how that goes. I mean, number one, you can bring in a lot of money through those. I mean, they go for $220, $240 a night depending on the RV. I think it's something that would get you rentals throughout the entire year. Even up here in Minnesota, I think you tap into a market of people taking them south for the winter. So there could be some pros to that. My wife would like the fact that she could do the handoff 100%, because she's not 100% comfortable with, doing the whole hitch setup and adjusting for different receiver heights and doing the weight distribution. So if she had a motorhome, she would be comfortable doing the entire process herself if I wasn't around. Some things we're thinking about. We will let you know in upcoming videos what direction we go. So that's kind of a summary of our month. Now let's go in and look at our spreadsheets. We'll look at our calendar, and again, I'll put myself out there and we'll talk some money. All right, before we get into the numbers, I want to give a shout out to Super Clean. They sent me out a couple of their products to test out, and I've been using them while we get our camper clean in between rentals. But I've also been using them on our cars too, and I've been very happy. It's a great product, and they have this new degreaser that's a foam spray. Really like it. These things work great. They're cheap. Check them out. All right, let's go over our calendar first here. So this is July, and let me show you how I have it laid out. Everything in orange is our Grand Design Imagine. Everything in blue is our Mallard. and everything in green would be an owner trip if we were taking out one of the RVs ourselves. So as you can see, July was a pretty solid month for us. Every single weekend the RVs were out, and really there were only a couple days where there were no rentals happening at all. I want to point out the 27th here. I mentioned this in our last video. I'll bring it up again. We try to avoid this. This is the mallard going out the same day it came back, and this only happens with RV Share. I'm sorry, we have it set up in the system not to allow this, but for whatever reason there's a glitch, and it's happened twice where it's allowing somebody to book the same day as a return, and it kind of leads up to a situation that we don't really like, because we only had a couple hours to get this camper turned around. It was kind of a busy day for us with appointments and work, and the camper needed a thorough cleaning on the outside. It had just come back from Glacier. The inside needed a little work, and the tanks, I had to go to the dump station and empty the tanks, and one of the struts on the awning was broken. I'll talk more about that in my next video, but bottom line is I wasn't able to go to the store and fix it, which I probably could have done if I had another day to work on it, but I had to send the RV out with an awning that wasn't being able to be used, and I just don't like doing that, so we try to avoid this. All right, so that's July. Let's peek ahead. I'll show you what August looks like. So August, again, it's looking like another solid month. First weekend, both RVs are out. This is a weekend that my twin brother is actually taking one of our rigs, and we're taking our Imagine, and we're doing a group trip up to Superior, Wisconsin. So they're off the market, but it kind of puts us into this situation where they're both coming back the same day and both going out the same day. We allowed it this time because we are the ones using the RVs, and we know that they'll be in good condition, and we can get back early and get those things ready. Should not be a problem. And then, again, only a couple days where they're off the market or not being rented out. August is looking like a good month. Now, September, we already have, I think, 4 or 5 rentals on the books. Even October we have 3 rentals, so schedule's filling up towards the end of the year. All right, let's go over and let me show you our income and expenses spreadsheet. All right, this is how I have the spreadsheet laid out. So column A is the months of the year. Column B would be rental income taken off platform, so renting on our own without RV Share or Outdoorsy. I have each rig in here twice, once with each company. So this would be Mallard income through RV Share, Mallard income through Outdoorsy. This would be Grand Design income through RV Share, and then Grand Design Imagine income through Outdoorsy. G here is gross income. That's all money taken in after Outdoorsy and RV Share take their cut. Payments would be our monthly payments for the campers and insurance. We put the Mallard on a 10-year loan and the Grand Design on a 15. That being said, this month we did pay off our Mallard, so next month this number is going to go down. Expenses is column I here, and as you can see, compared to last year, we've had a few more expenses, replacing tires and doing some maintenance things and buying some gadgets. Net income, that's obviously gross, minus payments, minus expenses. That gives us our net income. All right, so let's take a closer look at July here. July, nothing off platform, but the Mallard brought in $625 through our RV Share and over $1,200 with Outdoorsy. It's kind of interesting. It's the first month that we had Outdoorsy rentals with the Mallard this year. The Imagine brought in $292 through RV Share, and then $2,400 through Outdoorsy. So Outdoorsy was good for the Imagine this month. So our gross for July was strong. It was $45.84. We did have a lot of expenses. We did put brand new tires on that Mallard. I did end up buying all new grease seals, a grease gun, and some other gadgets. So kind of a bigger month with expenses, but still our net income was $3,300. So let's go look at our gross. So far for the year, we brought in $14,000. We've had $2,600 in payments and insurance, and $3,500 in expenses. So far through the end of July, our net income is $8,444. So yeah, I think it's been a solid year so far. Is it worth it? I still think it is. You know, this is a part-time job. There is work. There are some hassles. There's some headaches. There are some things you got to fix. But it's allowing us to pay off our campers quicker. It's allowing us to do some owner draws and use some money for family vacations. And yeah, so far for us, it's been worth the effort, and we're going to continue doing it. So once again, thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.